Welcome back, Lisa Rinna. I've missed you so much since your family packed their bags, loaded them in your mouth, and skipped town.
And does it match the blood you found inside Mr. Simpson's Bronco?
Yes, it's all from the same individual.
Then you mean all this time we could have been friends?
Judges your score.
Tell us what you don't like about yourself.
I'd like to go to Dreamland.
I'll take you there.
Who are you?
I'm Constance Langdon, and this is my fucking house.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the Ryan Murphy Project, a podcast where we take a look at the life and career of one of TV's most prolific showrunners. I'm Eric.
And I'm Andrew.
Andrew, it's time to enter the Netflix era of Ryan Murphy.
Yeah, yep. Mm-hmm. And I don't know how he started this era, to be honest.
Are you nervous to discuss this episode? The show?
No, not nervous. I'm just like, what the hell? I just don't get it. Not that it was like wildly anything to me that I'm like, what the fuck did I just watch? I'm just kind of like, I don't get it.
Okay.
So well, I am really excited to talk about it.
Yeah, let's break it down to see if we can better understand it. This week we are watching the pilot of Ryan's first Netflix show, The Politician. This stars Ben Platt, who plays Peyton Hobart. He is our main guy. And then we have a bunch of other characters we'll introduce to you along the way. It's interesting, this show, there's not much about the conception online. I feel like this was just like an idea that maybe Ian had, or maybe Ryan had too. And they were like, let's just do it together. So every episode of this show is written by one or all three of Ryan, Brad, and Ian.
Oh.
And that's the same for the second season as well, which was the same for Glee for the first 3 seasons, or first 2 seasons.
Okay. Well, yeah, because that's like putting all 3 of them together to make this series is confusing to me. I guess, all right, so it makes sense to me in the sense that, like, Ryan obviously has, like, politicalness in him.
Yeah.
So he wants to talk about that. But this isn't directly that either. And then I started thinking, I'm like, what, do I just not understand satire? Because everything online is like, it's a satirical comedy. I'm like, do I just not know satire?
It's an exaggerated, maybe not exaggerated, depending on where you went to school, but it's just a look at, like, the kind of people the types of people that run for politics, you know? I feel like, and there's a lot of things that go into this, I think that we uncover about the characters as we go, but let's read the premise here and see if this helps better understand what's going on.
Okay.
The first season is set at the fictional St. Sebastian High School in Santa Barbara, California. Peyton Hobart, who has dreamed of being elected president of the United States since childhood, is running for student body president against the popular and athletic River Barkley. Peyton, under the direction of his ambitious friends McAfee Westbrook, James Sullivan, and Alice Charles, chooses Infinity Jackson, a cancer patient and victim of Munchausen by proxy disorder, to be his vice president. Meanwhile, under the direction of his girlfriend Astrid Sloan, River chooses Sky Layton, a gender non-conforming black classmate, to be his vice president. And that's kind of the kickoff to the show. The show is basically the pitch for the show as a whole is each season covers Peyton's run for a certain political office.
Oh.
So this first season is about him running for class president. And then the second season is him running for a different political office at an older age. And then they announce that the third season will take place in a few years because they want Ben Platt to age up a little bit so that he can run for president of the United States. So I think that'll be the third and final season.
Oh.
So it looks like it's just going to be 3 seasons, but season 2 aired about a month ago based on when we're recording. And I don't know how great it did. So who knows if this is going to get picked up for season 3. We'll keep you posted, obviously. But
yeah, like, I mean, it's didn't not great. I loosely heard not good things. Did you like it?
I mean, I didn't watch it, no. I did watch this entire first season.
Oh, yeah, you didn't watch it because of the podcast.
I didn't watch the second season because I was like, well, I might as well just wait for us to do it. So yeah, so this first season has 8 episodes. And then we'll jump into season 2. So it opens up with a warning on screen. Now, I will say, I think, because there is suicide in this show, I think they handled it differently after the fact, because I do feel like there was a more graphic showing of, we'll get to it, but one of the characters' suicide. And then at the beginning of the episode, they put up a warning which I'll read. It says, The Politician is a comedy about moxie, ambition, and getting what you want at all costs. But for those who struggle with their mental health, some elements may be disturbing. Viewer discretion is advised.
Yeah, I was like, oh, okay. And I was wondering what they were talking about. Do you remember if it appears in every episode?
I don't, but I think it's probably because of the suicide in this episode.
Oh, okay. Because I was thinking it was... All right. That makes sense because I thought that they were talking about Ben Platt's character, Peyton's mental health or something.
Oh, no, I think it's more about the suicide.
Okay.
And the depression of it all.
I see.
So we open up on Peyton at his Harvard interview, and he says, I'm going to be president of the United States. And we can see that that's his, mission from here on out. That's what his goal is to be, which makes sense since they want to do season 3, him running for president. And the Harvard admission guy says everyone wants to be president nowadays because the air of impossibility has been removed. Talking about Donald Trump becoming president, obviously.
Mm-hmm. When Peyton is kind of explaining to the admissions officer that he says that he really only studies the presidencies after Ronald Reagan. Yeah. Because like the presidency is like a television and celebrity all kind of wrapped up into a politician. Mm-hmm. That's kind of what I got from it. I was like, oh, that's really interesting. Yeah.
Well, Ronald Reagan was our first like movie star president because he was a movie star and then he became president.
We should preface that you like presidents, that you have like a history.
I like American history. I'm not like I like president. I like some presidents. There are definitely parts.
You like American? Okay.
There are definitely parts to Peyton's philosophy that I recognized or related to.
Sure.
But yeah, I get what he's saying in terms of like that. But I think the modern presidency was created with JFK. I think it goes back to that because that's when TV was invented.
Sure.
But he says Ronald Reagan because Ronald Reagan was a movie star and then he became president. And then it became like a glamorous position because a movie star was president,
Oh, okay, I see. Yeah, that's a nice story about Reagan.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I agree that it probably did change, the presidency as a whole. Mm-hmm. But he cites him as like, did he cite him as like one of his leaders or like one of his people?
I'd imagine he is. He seems kind of Republican, right? A little bit.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to gather. Okay. So as he's kind of just going on this spiel, well, the admissions officer is like, cool, but tell me more about you. Like, why should I, And he's like, well, I'm adopted. And then that's kind of like the bite that the admissions officer wanted. Yeah. He's like, well, have you ever tried to look for your birth parents? When's the last time you cried? When's the last time you jerked off? And then and then Peyton is kind of like really uncomfortable by all these very personal questions. Yeah. Because he's just like a politician. He's
suppressing his emotions, clearly.
Yeah, he's like a pageant girl, so he's just giving the answers that he needs to give at this point.
And he also, you can kind of tell he's just imitating past presidents. That's what he wants to do. Mm-hmm. He's just imitating their path to victory, and that's kind of this is where we first get the idea that this guy is probably a sociopath, or narcissist.
Yeah, he's highly unlikable. Oh my! I wrote that a few times in my notes. I was like, oh my god.
Yeah, I feel like he's supposed to be unlikable, but I think they thought casting Ben Platt, it would make him likable. Yeah. And he does for me. If you like Ben Platt, and I do like Ben Platt, but
I've only watched one hard. Pitch Perfect ever at a sleepover with the girls, okay? And so that's all I know of Ben.
Okay. Well, we gotta watch Dear Evan Hansen then. Or listen to the soundtrack.
I've never even heard of that. So.
It's a probably he won a Tony for it.
Oh, so he's a musical girl.
He's a musical girl, uh-huh.
Oh, all right. Okay, context.
Which is like, yeah, you're not going to have Ben Platt in the show and not have him sing. So there obviously is a musical number in this first episode. But yeah, so we just get the idea that he's going to Harvard because 7 past presidents went to Harvard. He's just following in that path. The guy questions his emotions. We kind of see that he's a sociopath. The guy asks him when the last time he cried was, and he says that it was after he watched It's a Wonderful Life. And the guy says, did you cry because you were moved, or did you cry because you felt you had to cry?
Mm-hmm. He's like, everybody cries at the end of that movie.
Yeah.
And this, I was like, oh, okay, this is like peeking out of the, like, Ryan Murphy dialogue is slowly trickling out of here, but not enough.
Yeah, this episode was written by Brad, Ryan, and Ian, and it was directed by Ryan. And it's 62 minutes.
Yes, it is.
Oof, bitch. This is a jam-packed fucking pilot.
So then we cut to the intro, which I really liked.
Do you like the intro?
Mm-hmm. Well, one of the things I found out about, there's two big instances of song choices in this pilot, and I've already previously loved that song and the artist. And this is Chicago by I always mispronounce his name, as I usually do.
Sufjan Stevens.
Yeah. And I love that song, and I dramatically listened to that song when I moved to Chicago.
Oh, okay.
So I was like, oh, okay, yeah, because I had actually heard it earnestly prior to just moving here. So I was like, oh, there's like a little anthem. And aside from that, personal story, the visuals are really interesting.
Yeah, there's a lot of little hidden Easter eggs in the intro. We should do an episode where we break down the intro.
God,
get in the nitty gritty.
No.
But yeah, so this is the second time that they've had a "Call Me by Your Name" music reference. I mean, Sufjan Stevens is known for "Call Me by Your Name" now.
Well, since this is basically a "Call Me by Your Name" stan podcast, there's
sure is.
I assume some sort of reference to "Call Me by Your Name," and I had wrote it down in my notes. We'll talk about later.
Okay. So we cut back to Santa Barbara, and we meet Astrid and River, a calculated couple that had just got done having sex, and oh my God, David Cornsweet.
Yeah, if this was your first intro to him, wait. Cornsweet. That's what I thought.
Corn sweat. Damn it, I don't know.
I don't think that sounds right. Cornsweet sounds cute.
Well, I don't think it's right, but okay. We'll just go with that.
But if this was like my first intro to him, I would be like, huh, who's that? But I saw him in Hollywood, and then I looked at his Instagram and stuff like that. So I saw him in Hollywood first. And I was like, oh, wow, he definitely got hunkier for Hollywood.
Yeah.
Like maybe just grew up a little bit. I don't know, but he looks like a baby twink with like nice hair and big old lips.
Oh my God, he's so fucking sexy. Do you think he's the hottest Ryan Murphy guy?
No.
This is an important discussion to have.
Oh God.
I think
wow. Put me on the spot.
I know. I'm not actually prepared for this question either, but I think
no, because you go.
It's either him or Darren Criss.
Yeah, I was thinking Darren Criss comes to mind, but then I also like Finn Whitrock. Like sometimes he looks pretty hot, but
I don't like any of those guys. I don't like Matt Bomber.
Well, Matt Bomber's traditionally hot. I like the guy. What's his name? Spoiler alert for fucking Hotel. He ended up being the serial killer with the eyebrows.
Yeah, I saw him at a Rite Aid once.
Oh really? Yeah, like he's really handsome to me.
He's okay.
But David Cornsweet is like really like young, unmolded hot in my opinion. He's like a twunk. And he has an interesting character because they just had sex with his girlfriend Astrid, and they kind of have a discussion about the sex. Yeah. And he's kind of like, are you coming off authentic? Basically, that's like what his angle is in this conversation. And Astrid's is like, I don't need to be authentic. Yeah. I'm giving you sex. I'm like propping you up in this like interaction. Because
he's like, every time we have sex, it seems like you really like it. And he goes, I'm worried you're faking it. And she says, I am faking it. But she's genuinely faking it to help his ego, Yeah. Like, she's not doing it to be a bitch, and she's not, like, bitter about it, it doesn't seem.
Well, then she kind of references porn and how, like, men, she kind of like, well, men watch porn, so I'm giving something like that,
Yeah.
Like,
she says, I will do better to appear more authentic. He's like, I don't want you to appear authentic. I want you to, like, be it. She's like, what's the difference?
like about this show right off the bat is that all the women seem really robotic.
Yeah.
And that they're like, and he can write a woman, you know, like he obviously, but like other than side note Jessica Lange, but like all of these like young girls are like robotic and just kind of prop up the man. And it's just like, there's no fire in her belly, even though I'm like, oh, Asher's gonna be the bitch.
Yeah.
You know, like, oh, she's gonna be Quinn. She's gonna be the villain and all that stuff. I just like haven't gotten it yet, but maybe that'll come.
There is definitely character development for the women, all of them. I think everyone that appears in the show I think your opinion will gradually change. I'm interested to see how. I'm interested to see how it changes, but I think it will. But you're right. At this point, they're just like fucking photocopies of robotic women for sure.
Yeah, it's very strange.
Very strange. So,
but I'm looking forward to my opinion changing. I trust you with my life, bitch.
Oh, bitch. So after she leaves, David puts on his sexy ass robe and just swoops down the steps. Oh, what a shot. I want this projected onto my gravestone.
Someone needs to make this a gift for Eric. It's like putting it on the robe and
coming
going
through that
down
door.
the
Oh my goodness, the wave and the cape.
And he's kind of going down the steps into like what, somebody's office. It looks like he's looking for something.
Yeah, we assume he's like in his dad's office or his mom's. It's 2020, bitch.
Good.
And he cracks into a safe that's hidden in a desk, and he pulls out a gun.
And then as this is going on, Peyton then comes rushing into the house.
Storming in, flailing his little gay arms.
I know. And then they see each other, and the first thing out of his mouth is like, "How dare you run against me?"
Yeah, so we find out that River's running against Peyton for class president. And, you know, River has my vote just off these few interactions here. But Peyton knows that he would lose to River. So he's upset about it.
Yeah, and then this scene basically, you know, as just like a new viewer, I was just like, okay, this is moving really fast for me. You know? I was like, how did that happen? He just had sex.
Yeah.
You know, because then it cuts to the next scene of them having a debate. Like,
well, yeah. So we also find out in the scene that you didn't pick up anything, huh?
No, I felt like it was moving mad fast. I was like, what the hell? He just had sex. I thought we were talking about porn, you know.
Well,
and then Peyton comes in, and I'm just like,
and he has the gun in his lap. It's a whole thing.
I know.
But Peyton's like, I'm gonna tell people that we had sex if you run.
Yes, you're right. He did say that.
So he's like, he's threatening him to out him, and that's a little interesting crumb tidbit to go on, you know.
Yeah, I was like, did they have sex?
But we could tell that Peyton is like this ambitious piece of shit, and he's willing to do anything to anybody to get what he wants, and he's upset that he's going to lose. And that's kind of where we leave that scene, and then we cut to the debate, Peyton versus River.
So they're having a full school debate. Everybody's
full
invited. Everybody goes. Everybody has an opinion. So
let me ask you: Did you have like a school, like, did you run for political office, or did you have that in your high school?
I wouldn't even know. I didn't run for no office. I was running at track and field.
You
so
were
I had
running,
no.
bitch.
I mean, yes, I was literally running. But I think that there's a student body president. That's like the structure of any sort of.
But
class,
I don't. Okay, so I remember voting, but I feel like I don't think I ran. But I feel like it was just like it was just like, no, like, this person's gonna be president. Like, we just knew, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't remember like flyers. Okay. There were definitely never any debates.
No, but in Ryan Murphy's school in Indiana, it definitely meant something.
It probably was a big thing.
This is like a storyline that he has used in Glee as well. I wonder if he uses it in. I bet you, I will put money on it that he uses it in Popular at one point. Okay.
I mean, we've already seen the School Musical and cheerleading tryouts in the first episode. Like, way to blow your load.
So I know everybody is here.
Oh my God, do you remember Popular? We're so close to being back to Popular.
Yeah, I feel like we just started recording in a lot of ways, you know?
What episode is this? This is 11, 12. This is episode 13.
Wow, that is so wild.
Wild.
It doesn't feel like it to me. It really doesn't.
I know. Yeah, so we're at the debate, and the first question is for Peyton. And
the first question is just about them still teaching the freshman year students about Mark Twain's book Huckleberry Finn and like the racist language that's used within that book and whether it's still appropriate. And this was interesting-ish because everyone was like just like me, like kind of waiting for his answer, like really kind of like, okay, say this, say that, but don't say that. Mention this, make sure you smile, you know, this sort of thing. So he comes off as genuine, answering like a racial inequality. Well, no, not racial inequality, just like are we teaching racism to students by making them read this book, sort of thing. So he got a really complex question. And then River.
And we should say Peyton gave like a polished answer, you know?
Yes, incredibly
political,
polished.
PC, fully on board with what the answer should be.
Every sort of box within that.
Yeah.
And then River gets, do you think that we should sell sugary drinks anymore in this school? You know?
Yeah.
Like as simple as that. As simple as dietary needs or whatever. And then River really kind of turns it to him. Yeah. Because he's like, who cares?
Yeah.
You know, that was like his initial response. And then he starts peeling back his own nervous layers and then starts really opening up to the crowd. He pulls a really interesting move and he's like, Can I just get off stage? You know, like I'm like I'm too tall for you guys right now. I need to sit with you, and everyone's like, oh my god, And then in this sort of speech, he starts talking about how he actually had like a suicidal moment a year ago.
Yeah.
I don't know. I was just feeling really depressed. Not even depressed, just hopeless because I felt so alone, and I was afraid I was always going to feel that way.
He's crying. This is bad. This is bad.
So I went home after lax practice one day, and I was working out at home, and something made me take a 45-pound plate, and I tied it to my ankle, and I went out to my pool, and I jumped in the deep end. And for a second, I was really ready to die. And then I realized, I was like, River, what did you just do? And I panicked and I tried to get the rope off my ankle and I couldn't. And I just remember looking up at the surface of the water and thinking, no one's here, man. You're gonna die alone. And then, next thing I remember, I was floating at the surface. There's no cool ending to the story. It's just the rope untied itself from the weight. I don't know, I never did Boy Scouts. No one was there.
Oh, God, he's sweating like Nixon.
And I don't want anyone here at this school to ever feel like that. It's really important to me that all of you know that your lives have value and that they're important, that you're important. That's all I gotta say.
I love this guy.
So yeah, so basically he's saying, the state of the world is nuts. If you want a 42-ounce Mountain Dew, get yourself a 42-ounce. You want a bowl of cereal, you're going to get yourself a bowl of cereal.
Yeah.
And, he just comes off truly authentic. He relates to them. He talks about how depressed he is and how hard life is for him, even though he seems like this perfect guy, which he is a perfect guy. He's, oh, my goodness. I can't believe we have to watch back-to-back series with him.
What am I going to do?
Goodness.
I don't have enough tissues.
I don't have enough. Oh, my God. Clean my sheets every day. So so we just see how authentic he is, and the audience eats it up. They love him. Astrid is crying because she didn't know that he tried to kill himself once.
Yeah.
And Peyton's little clique of 3 minions in the crowd is worried because River just showed him up. And we just end on a Peyton who is they say he's sweating like Nixon.
Well, that's funny because even while this was going on, it just seemed like very Nixon, JFK, even just visually.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like David Cornsweet is incredibly handsome. And
I don't know if we've mentioned that yet.
Oh yeah. Which is obviously in JFK was very incredibly handsome as well too. Next to
comparatively,
Nixon.
yeah.
Just like sweating.
Yeah.
Sweating
so
away.
Yeah, that's definitely the comparison they're going for. And after that, we cut to his little minion group of insiders, who is a James McAfee, and what's her name? His girlfriend.
I mean, I feel like they never even mention these people's names.
I know.
Like literally. And they're all like Agustine, Skylar, Dylan's. Like, it's just like, why isn't anybody named Chris?
Because it's Santa Barbara, bitch.
Matt, Sarah. You know,
not
regular,
Santa
just
Barbara.
weird. Just like weird, just like all the, and I'm like, whoa, who the hell is Keaton? You know? Okay. So they're sitting around reviewing, and then I'm like, okay, are these characters like just like Glee 2.0 rich kid characters?
Well,
like, or am I misjudging them?
You're not at all, because Zoe Deutsch, or not Zoe Deutsch, Laura Dreyfus was in Glee.
Is she?
She's one of the last remaining Glee Club members at the very end of the show.
Oh,
she's like the new generation.
Oh, that generation. I don't know. She's not. Well, literally, I clicked on that Wikipedia of her for Laura Dreyfus is playing Madison McCarthy. It's just 2 lines. Literally, that's it for the entire bio. I'm not interested.
Nope. Sorry, moving on. So they say that he needs a differently abled running mate to get some sympathy and authenticity. And we see a slew of him asking different disabled children at the school to be his running mate.
So unlike, like Chanel Oberlin or any of the previous like problematic characters that you end up loving that Ryan makes, this is like, it's not like a horrible scene, but I just still don't love him. Like, this could be really funny. The only thing remotely funny that I found about this was when he said, when they were like, all right, you need to find this sort of running mate, and he like slammed his hand on the table. It was like, John Kane already did that. Like, I was like, oh, that's good. But then this like entire segment isn't like quirky or anything. It's just it's very dry to me. So it makes me feel like, oh man.
Yeah, so he asks one girl on the bus who has Down syndrome, and she says she wants people to stop being fake. He asks this kid Andrew, who has physical disabilities, and he tells him no, because he can see right through Peyton's request of like wanting a special needs person for the sympathy vote. And then he finally talks to Infinity. This is where we meet Infinity.
Infinity Jackson, looking like she came out of Grey Garden. Like, I was just like, I had to look her up because that voice alone was like, ugh. And then I looked her up and I'm like, wow, she looks really different outside of that random costume she's wearing.
Sure. It's interesting that it is very Grey Gardens-esque, or it's more of what's that one with Joey King?
Oh, I know what you mean. It's like a Hulu thing.
Yeah, with Patricia Arquette.
Yeah.
Where she's like making the daughter sick.
Oh man.
Drama. So we meet Infinity, and she says that she's going through chemo, and Peyton tells her that he wants her to be her running mate, and we see them kind of have a little meet cute.
The one thing she said in this I believe it was this conversation, where she was like, well, I wanted to see your debate basically with River, but I wasn't there because I got free tickets to Disneyland or Disney World, and I missed a lot of days of school because of that, and that was like the first sort of like little buzz of like, what's going on here? And then we cut to fucking Jessica Lange.
Intro Miss Jessica Lange. Now I do think that Barbara Streisand was supposed to play this role, and she turned it down last minute, and Jessica took the role like to help Ryan out.
Interesting. Wow.
So that might explain why not to ever drag Jessica Lange on this podcast.
Never.
Never would I ever dare to even utter words that are
I don't even think negative things about that woman.
However, this is like Constance before she had any money.
She looks like she just...
And I said it, and I'll say it again.
I would never even think negative things about Jessica Lange, even if I think of American Horror Story Season 4 and her constant German voice. I don't even think about that. But this character...
Cannot even... I wish we could skip Season 4 altogether.
I know.
Oh, my goodness. But this character is Dusty Jackson. She's the grandmother of Infinity Jackson. And she's taking care of her granddaughter, who presumably has the disease we mentioned earlier. If you were listening, we will never say it again. But
which one, though? That's the layered part of that.
So they're at Olive Garden, and Karen, the hostess, says, "Do you have an appointment?" A reservation. I make appointments at Olive Garden.
I'm getting my bread basket.
So she basically goes on this tirade about getting this reservation, and this family overhears it, and they feel guilty, so they give her place, and they get to go into Olive Garden and eat. So we can see that this is the first sign of them using her sickness to get something they want.
Yeah, because we should mention, like, the setup for it is just like, okay, no, I'm sorry. You know, Jessica walks in, and then she's like, no, I'm sorry, there's a long wait. And then Dusty kind of rolls out Infinity on a wheelchair, being like, but this was her dream to come to Olive Garden.
Yeah, she just got her feeding tube out.
I know, yes, that's what she said. And then that's when someone's like, take my spot, you know, sort of thing. So that's kind of like, okay, all right.
I see your corrupt ass.
That's what we're doing here. Okay. But the fact that the hostess's name was Karen, though, that's like so funny. Just like a random little thing for Ryan to put in my opinion. Because she wasn't doing anything other than just her job.
Yeah. Yeah. So. I don't think this Karen thing had the same connotation then as it does now.
Oh, because this came out in 2018?
September 2019. And that's when I watched it all in one weekend.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
no, but I agree with you. I'm sure Karen wasn't a thing back then. So they're at the dinner table, and Jessica's kind of like, how's your day? And she, Infinity explains that Peyton came up to her and asked her to be his running mate, and she says no.
Yeah. She turned him down. We don't know that until this moment. But she turned him down, and her grandmom's like, this is the kind of shit you should be doing. You got to aim high, bitch.
Mm-hmm.
So she tells her, when you go into school tomorrow, you tell this boy that you're going to be his running mate. So then we cut to them in school, and Infinity and Peyton are walking down the hallway, and he says, have you thought about my offer anymore? And she goes, yes. It's still no. And he says, why? And she goes, I don't have to tell you that. Which is like good for Infinity, you know?
Yeah, she don't need him. And then it goes to a pep rally, maybe an announcement sort of rally in the middle of the courtyard.
Sure.
People care in this school.
People care a lot. There's a full-on pep rally between classes where River announces
I would go if there was free food. You know, like if I was
even in college, I didn't do that.
I know.
But in between these classes, River announces Sky Layton as his running mate for vice president, the first gender non-conforming African American on the ballot in the history of that high school. So Peyton's upset that River has picked Sky as their running mate, and he storms into River's room again, and he's pissed. He's bitching about the election. He's blaming it all on River. He's upset now that Sky is as River's running mate, that he's going to lose even harder now because everyone loves Sky, apparently. Which, like, Sky is super cool. I love him, too.
Sky came out of nowhere just being like, hey, everybody. And everyone's like, ooh, that's a dangerous pair. I mean, and they are a good pair.
Yeah, and we do see Sky as a character moving forward.
Yeah, like, even when, after they were, like, done saying, like, I'm the first gender non-conforming African-American, you know, like, and then they go up and hug each other and then like wave at the same time. So it's like Sky and River got it. They kind of got like the mojo already. So I could see why there's like a form of this reaction.
Yeah,
but then I just like
worse now.
I just have in my notes like I'm just again Peyton is so unlikable. I don't understand satire. So it's like it. At least as far as it goes for River, it looks like, okay, you're taking all the great steps.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you would think that he would be sort of happy. But when Peyton runs to River's house to confront him again, he goes to his room. And then Peyton's kind of like already just looking out the window, having his own sort of little moment.
River is, yeah.
Yeah.
And Peyton storms in and he's yelling at him, and River turns around, and River clearly he wants to not talk about it. He's like, I see so much pain in you. He's like, I really did love you, and he's trying to have a different kind of moment at this moment.
Yeah, you're right. I agree.
And before Peyton can even continue, we cut to black and we hear a gunshot, and River kills himself.
I know. I was like, what?
Yeah. Were you shocked by that? Did you think of him as like a main character?
I was shocked by that, and I was like, and then knowing what happened with this actor afterwards, I was like, okay, I guess that makes a little bit more sense. But yeah, I wasn't expecting that. So then it actually just hard cuts to 18 months earlier.
Yes.
Title card, and then there's shirtless, very tan guys that just got out of the pool shooting bow and arrows at like a hunter deer model.
Yeah, two sexy ass twins. And they're like sexy and like, I don't know how to explain it. They're like, they feel real dumb to me, you know? Like they're just real like, they're like two Andy Cohen bartenders who like Ryan Murphy was just like, give them the role. You know what I mean?
Oh, it's so good. So good because it's so fucking true.
Yeah.
So I guess these are Peyton's brothers.
Yeah.
And then we also get the first introduction of Gwyneth Paltrow. Sitting
over there painting her little painting. I forget what she's painting. She's painting something for charity.
Yeah, she's painting like a victim of Sudan helicopter shooting. You know, like something like that. Welcome back, Gwen, to the Ryan. Oh God, hold on. Welcome back, Glenn. We haven't seen her since Glee. Did I say Glenn? Glenn Coco? Oh man, I'm sorry, future Eric, for this. Oh no. We haven't seen Gwen since Glee. She hasn't even appeared in other Ryan stuff, right?
She was in The New Normal.
Oh, that like brief cameo.
Yeah.
So what? Gwen and Ryan are just like BFFs, right? Like on
well,
the side
she's married to Brad.
Oh, okay. I don't know. I forgot that.
Yeah, she's married to Brad. So I'm sure, and she's a producer on this show actually as well.
She comes off really good in this.
Yeah, I love her character. She's probably the most likable of them all. Basically, her whole scene here is the twins are making fun of Peyton. Seems that they bully him all the time, and as they're leaving, they say they're going to a anti-net neutrality conference.
Right.
And they say they're trying to protect their will because Peyton's not in the will. And then Gwen's like, oh, you're just as much in the will as they are. And it's just some rich shit we don't care about, you know?
Yeah, pretty much.
And basically the scene is just to establish that Gwyneth is, Peyton's adopted mother. And she really loves him. And it comes off that she likes him more than she likes the twins. As a matter of fact, she says as much. And this is basically just showing that she's in his corner.
And that she knows how to paint.
Yeah. But then we see River. River shows up.
Yeah,
and
River
we find
shows
out that
up.
Gwen, or Glenn as you like to call her, hired River as Peyton's Mandarin tutor.
Because why not? Why don't you?
If I was interviewing him, I'd hire him.
And then as they're kind of being introed, Peyton's kind of like hanging out back looking like a creep.
Yeah, he's nervous.
And and she's like, why did you do that? And he's like, because his girlfriend is my rival, Astrid. She called me gay back in the second grade.
She called me a
which
faggot
I'm not,
in second grade.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I blocked it out.
But he's gay in real life.
Yeah, I'm still trying to figure out if his character is or not at this point.
Okay.
But then it quickly kind of changes because he goes and finds River in his room, looking at his library, and they're basically all autobiographies. Which
I think if someone looked at my library too, they would see that it's mostly autobiographies. Or this is a moment where I relate it with Peyton when he said something about he likes to read other people's success stories so that they can imitate how it's done, and that is something I do. I consciously do that. I look at people who I admire, whose career I would like, and I read their story. I find out how they got it, done. And
sure, that makes sense.
That's something that he does as well. But also, I think I'm part sociopath too, so I think we relate on other levels as well. But
and that also makes sense to me.
Okay, bitch, relax.
No, but it's kind of like just analyzing the market.
Yeah.
It's just kind of seeing what your competitors are and like what you could do better than them, but it's in book form. But like he's kind of flirty with him. River is automatically flirty with Peyton kind of in this scene, in my opinion. Why are you in his room?
Yeah.
Number
this
one.
This is where they're doing tutoring.
Hey, this is what you call tutoring? Anyways, they sit over in the corner by the chess set.
Yeah.
They go over a few words in Mandarin.
Uh-huh.
And then it starts getting kind of heavy really fast between them.
Why are you so tense?
How do you know I'm tense?
I just do. You don't seem very happy.
Are you happy?
I try to be.
I try to be too. I really try. It's so hard to have to try so hard all the time. Okay. That was weird. How did you get me to be vulnerable like that?
I've never liked that. It's just kind of a thing I do with people. Maybe it was just what you needed.
What do you need?
I
don't know what that means.
Can I kiss you?
This is just a clip show.
So basically, River puts him in a super vulnerable state. We see his emotion for the first time, and we see that for some reason there's a connection there, and they kiss.
Yeah, River's like, "Can I kiss you?" And then he just like wipes away his tear, and then they kiss, and then just a little kiss. And then he was like, "Okay, that was day one."
Yeah, and then he leaves.
Tutoring session.
Lesson over, I guess.
I'm billing your mom $150 for this 15 minutes
for
I was
kissing
here
you.
kissing you. So bye. And I was like, that was the tutoring session? Like, he's never gonna learn Mandarin this way.
He's never gonna learn it.
He's just never gonna know.
How do you expect him to learn it that way? They could have like continued the lesson. That would have been just as believable.
Yeah.
Than him leaving, you know?
But River comes off as like, I wrote this down for two people. Gwen and River come off as like, like in television shows when one character has died but they're around and they come back as like visions, basically. And they're the most idealistic version of themselves. Like whether it be on the negative or positive side, like really angry dad versus like really friendly dad, or whichever the character's experience it is. And that's how River and Gwen come off to me.
Like a conscience to them?
Yeah, like an angelic sort of person.
Yeah.
That you know what I mean? That's like too good to be true in this weird, heavy, structural, robotic world full of characters.
It's interesting you say that. Can I tell you why, or do you want me to wait?
Oh, God. What is the rest of America gonna think and other countries?
Well, I think you find out next episode, but we'll let you figure it out.
Oh man. Okay, so I'm not wrong.
You're not. Well, it's interesting. You're not right, but
okay.
We'll see.
Well, either way, I mean,
Mystery.
it's not
Tune
bad.
in
It's just kind of
tune
like,
in 13 weeks.
right? Like there could be like a fog underneath River's feet, and I would easily be like, okay,
yeah,
it's a dream sequence.
Yeah,
you know, that's kind of how I feel.
Interesting.
But after this, it's him in the library getting books.
Mm-hmm.
Peyton, and he picks up this I thought was funny. But he picks out a book, and then bam, Asher's on the other side. It just kind of like, he's like, gets all tight, buttons up his shirt, and then like tries to leave, and then somehow she's on like the other side, and then bumps into him again. I was like, okay, that's like exactly my sense of humor.
Which is like, would you say this is the Ryan Murphy moment?
Yeah, this very well could be for me.
Ryan.
So she kind of goes up to Peyton, and it was just like, I know what's going on with you and River. River told me we have a very transparent relationship.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, oh, okay, this is when I was saying, I'm like, oh, she's the mean girl. Cool. Yeah. Like, let's get that dialogue going. And she doesn't really do much. And then she said basically she wants in on it, and she said, come to my house after school. We're having a threesome.
Yeah. And that's kind of an unexpected twist for her character, but at the same time, clearly, like you said, her character seems to only be there to serve River's greatness. You know what I mean? So whatever makes him happy, she's willing to do. Is that something that will crack once River's dead? I don't know. Will she come into her own? I don't know.
I hope so.
But we cut back to the night of the shooting, and we see River sitting on the steps of, we see Peyton sitting on the steps of River's home, covered in blood. And Asher comes up, and she just blames Peyton. She said, "This is your fault." And this is where we see, this is the Ryan Murphy moment for me. We see Peyton walk down the street in slow motion, close up, blood covered on his face. The sound is hollowed out. It's the shot that's in every Ryan Murphy directed episode. This is the Ryan Murphy moment for me.
Ryan.
It's like back-to-back Ryan Murphy episode or moments. He like kind of just wrote these two scenes.
Yeah.
It's like, you boys can handle it from here. Peyton goes to his, so then Peyton just goes home and kind of has like his form of a reaction to it. Mm-hmm. Like takes a shower, that sort of stuff. And then Gwen, what's her real name in this show? Gwyneth Paltrow's character.
I hope it's Gwyneth. Or Glenn.
I hope, or Patty.
What is it?
Okay. Oh, I don't know. I thought you were looking it up. I saw your hands moving. Hold on. No, I'll do it.
It's Georgina.
Oh, Georgina? Okay, that fits. All right, so then Gwyneth Paltrow, a.k.a. Georgina, comes to Peyton's room and comforts him. Peyton is kind of upset that he just can't cry. He hasn't been able to cry. And so then Georgina basically says,
I'm worried that I don't have the same feelings that everyone else does.
I think a lot of young people feel that way, especially nowadays. Your generation got the terrible idea that it was best to vomit every thought and feeling all over each other. It's a pandemic of over-communication that's led to an absence of intimacy.
And I'm just like, oh, okay. I think that's nicely written.
Yeah.
This is a nicely written line, although like when I break it down, I'm just kind of like, okay, I agree, and I guess I disagree. I mean, being in quarantine, I feel like there's that I'm communicating constantly with people, whether it be at work or especially like my parents or my other people, because people have more time. And I just feel like I'm fucking talking to everyone when I don't want to talk to anybody.
Yeah.
So over communication, that's what we're doing right now. But how does that make an absence of intimacy?
Because you're so open about everything you're communicating. It's gotten to a point where we're willing to share sexy photos on Instagram, guy or girl, guy in a Speedo, girl in a bikini, whereas people wouldn't do that. Or you share your deepest thoughts or your angriest moments on Facebook through a status, or your breakups or your relationship status. That's all on Facebook for people to see. I think that's the intimate moments that people usually reserve for close conversations with friends, but now with social media, it's blasted everywhere for everybody to see, and sometimes it's not even you who's sharing your own news. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, that's true.
So I think that's what the sentiment is there, and I agree with that. It is just like you could tell it's kind of like a placed, well-written line for like a catchy trailer moment or something.
Yeah, sure.
But I think the sentiment is true.
Okay, interesting.
But this is another look at us seeing Peyton as possibly a sociopath because he's dealing with the fact that he can't deal with these emotions, or he has no emotions to deal with.
And that his mom is enabling him. Just like, it's okay.
Just want to throw that in there?
Yeah.
She is like saying like it's okay not to have emotions, which was a weird stance to take. I agree.
Yeah.
But then we cut to River's funeral.
Yep. During this sort of funeral moment, it's him and his lackeys, his campaign managers. And then they sort of mention that now that River is out of the picture, he's running unopposed.
Yeah.
Which I guess is true. For many different reasons, this is held at the school auditorium.
Yeah, I think this is more of a memorial service at the school.
A memorial service at the school by the students.
Yeah.
That's what I gathered. But
then we see, this service kicks off with Peyton singing a song, because obviously if you have a Tony Award winning musical actor, they got to sing at least once.
Yeah, they got to sing, and then everyone in the auditorium has to have a reaction to it. Single tear.
Everybody's
moment.
crying. So Peyton sings crying. River by Joni Mitchell.
Which is
another, honestly, Ryan Murphy moment.
Mm-hmm. Oh, no, you're right. This is really Ryan.
This is like a so Jesse's Girl moment.
Ryan.
Yeah.
Songs of joy and peace, so I wish I had a river I could skate away on, but it don't snow here.
This might be the one. I mean, who knows? There might be three this fucking
There could be a lot. I mean, this is a Ryan, Brad, and Ian show, which those three together make the most Ryan Murphy of moments. You know, I think a lot of moments that we attribute to Ryan could easily be Brad or Ian's. You know, especially Ian's.
True.
I think a lot of Brad's or Ryan's moments are actually Ian's in Glee, at least. But yeah, so I think there could be several. Some weeks there could be none. Some weeks there could be several.
You guys are always gonna hear that Ryan just maybe a couple times.
Yeah. So after he's done singing, which is a beautiful song. Have you ever heard this song before? They sing it on Glee as well, I think.
Oh, that's probably where I heard it then.
Yeah, they sing it on Christmas episode, I think.
I was aware of it.
Yeah. And then after River sings, Astrid comes up and she announces that her and Sky are going to continue River's message and run for president and vice president together. So Peyton is no longer running unopposed.
And that's what Astrid had to say at her boyfriend's funeral.
What a fucking weirdo.
School. I know. That's all I was thinking. I was like, oh, that's weird. You didn't even say anything. You're just like, we're running now, bitches. That's it. Nothing about your, so I was just like, okay.
Because Peyton says in his speech, he says that, the best guy can no longer win the race.
Exactly.
And Astrid's like, you're right. He can't. But I can continue the right man's message. And it's just like, all right, weird moment to take at this funeral for your boyfriend who just committed suicide. But
and then at your auditorium with a
honestly, it might be another Ryan Murphy moment, but we'll move forward quickly. So Peyton is shook, and he's no longer running unopposed. So he's upset. He's worried again. He goes home. He sees Gwyneth in the garden, and she has his Harvard acceptance letter.
I don't like her as a celebrity, Gwen. And selling like vagina candles to random people on Goop and whatnot.
Sure.
But I do like watching her act. You know what
Sure.
I mean? I liked her in the Iron Man movies and in Glee. Like, it's just like something about her delivery. She actually comes off as really sweet or something. You know, even her
this
character.
This is a very simple role, and I think she plays it well.
And she's also just like wearing a red gown, gardening.
Her fashion is great in this.
You know, it's
great
just like,
costume
she's just like,
design in this show.
So we find out that she has the letter from Harvard. She just has it there as she is trimming.
As she's gardening. Yeah, I noticed that too.
With her garganzas and her roses and those, like, you know, gardening gloves.
Sure.
And right next to all of that is this letter from Harvard. And then she hands it to Peyton, and he opens it up, and turns out he's waitlisted.
Yeah. Poor guy's waitlisted to Harvard, which is a crushing blow to him. Because he says, he's like, I studied black market applications. He studied previous presidents. He studied how people get into Harvard, and he still didn't get in. And Gwyneth's like, you should have let us buy your way in like we did the twins. But he didn't want that. So he has a complete meltdown. He throws the letter on the ground. He's upset that he is second choice. You know, he's like, if we can't find anyone better, then we'll let you in. He's upset about that because I think it harkens back to his adoption, you know?
Oh, okay. I didn't even pick up, but good. Yeah, you're right.
So Gwyneth comforts him. Yeah. Gives him a little hug, and she tells him not to litter. That's how she ends the scene. But he's upset. So, you know, this is what it was all building up to.
Yeah. Caring mother. This is where I wrote that she seems like a memory to me. Like that, and I was like, oh, okay.
Do you think Ben Platt is overacting?
Yeah, like that freak out wasn't good. You know, because then he was saying funny things in there. Like, I studied black market things. Why the hell did I take Mandarin? Yeah. You know, all these like crazy things that are possible, like very Ryan Murphy dialogue, you know, that he could have delivered in a Chanel or Nana from the New Normal sort of way, but he just chose to scream it. Yeah. Like you know, like a new queen on Drag Race acting challenge. You know, like it just same note the whole time.
A lifetime of focus and planning, carefully studying applications I obtained on the black market in order to pinpoint the exact combination of extracurriculars and test scores that would optimize my chances at acceptance. 3 years on that stupid literary magazine, Model UN, and service-oriented summer camp in Costa Rica. Flippin' Mandarin!
They haven't said no.
This is worse. This is worse than no. This is, let's wait and see if we find anybody better. This is, even if we do take you, you are our second choice. Why didn't they want me? They took those morons.
So after this scene, we cut to Peyton goes to his girlfriend's house. What's her name? Is it Lucy? Or what? I'm never going to remember this bitch's name.
Alice.
Alice, ugh. And she, we find out that she did get into Harvard. And he, you know, puts on a happy face for her and congratulates her, and it seems genuine. And then they have dinner at this really dramatic long table.
An extremely long table.
Because everyone's rich in Santa Barbara.
Yeah, that's another thing about like having these like unrealistic, unlikable characters. Like, you know, not for nothing, have your own wealth, but I just like I can't really connect to like this abundance of richness.
Yeah.
You know, like she has, and how then her character is formed by that. Like she has a waiter.
Yeah.
Or a butler or something like that.
A waiter.
She has a waiter
from TGI
at the
Fridays.
Can you come to my Santa Barbara long table and feed me and my gay boyfriend? Like, oh yeah, come on.
So the first thing she asks is, did you kill River? Which is something we don't see. Was there any part of you that thought maybe he did kill him?
No.
Or still does think so? That? No? Okay.
There was a point where I thought River shot Peyton, though.
Okay. Interesting.
Like, that's why I thought that was going to go. I was like, oh, man.
That would have been a very interesting twist, huh?
Yeah.
Wow. That would have been crazy.
But it didn't cut up because then he was holding the gun. River seemed, quote unquote, unhinged at that point, you know, because he's just kind of like this, like, living in a fog sort of guy to me. And so then, yeah, that's what I thought initially, and then it turned out the opposite way.
So he says no, that he didn't kill River, so we have no choice but to believe him. But But then she says they have to break up because he needs sympathy. Astrid has sympathy. River's dead. Her boyfriend's dead. He needs sympathy now, so she's going to tell everyone that she cheated on Peyton and that they broke up. And they're going to make a whole big stink about it, and that's what he needs to do to win. He needs that bit of sympathy.
Yeah,
which, like,
just...
what a weirdo, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So she tells him that he has to do two things. He's going to post pictures of, like, a dog or a beach or a hot dog with a cute caption, and that's going to let her know that he's thinking of her. Because I guess they're never going to talk again.
Yeah.
And then she says that when they're walking down the hallway, they can't acknowledge each other, but they both have to turn around once they've passed and look at each other. And she says, "This is something I need, or else I'll die." Is that what she say?
Yeah.
She said she needs this to survive. What a fucking weirdo.
This whole thing, I was waiting for it to be funny.
Yeah,
and I was like,
right?
is this satire? Like, this whole time I was like, I just thought it was gonna be funny.
I think this whole scene missed the mark. The whole, like, social media post, the immediate reaction with the comments and the likes, and him doing his post and her doing hers, and them calling each other to calculate the post. It's just like, it was just so overdone, just like unnecessary. And then we see them in school, and they pass each other, but Peyton doesn't look back.
Yep.
Which is like just him being a bitch, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, I was like, why? Because that was a pretty good scene, but I also thought, like, when they pass each other in school, because I really like that song by Tame Impala. I Was Changing, the whole song that played over it, I already had previously liked. I really love Tame Impala. And so I seemed like a little bit more into the scene because I was like, oh, like vibing with it.
Mm-hmm.
And then when he didn't turn around after he passed her, I was like, well, why ain't you doing that?
Yeah. I mean, it was just like they had this whole plan, and then all of a sudden he becomes a dick, and it's just like, to sell it more, to make it more, I don't know, like just for whatever reason, like, it just missed, the whole thing missed the mark for me. But then we cut to Peyton, who shows up at Infinity's house. And we have a scene with Peyton, Infinity, and Dusty Jackson, Miss Jessica Lange, where we find out that she's also from West Virginia, just like good old Constance.
I know, that's so weird. I know, because obviously she's just so Southern, and Peyton is just like, are you from the South? She's like, West Virginia. Born and raised. I came out here to be a movie star, but I wasn't putting my green
acres,
pasture, my green acres,
70 foot high.
So everybody, and I was like, I have heard this before. That's
Yep. So she said she finds out that Infinity turned him down twice. He tells them that, he's there again to ask, and that he's like, you can make money off this through Instagram. He's like, I can give you a cash loan to get a new car. And obviously Dusty is into using her granddaughter's illness to get whatever she wants.
Yeah.
So she says, Infinity, you have to do this. Infinity is against it. And she keeps saying no because she thinks that Peyton is fake. She doesn't trust him. She calls him on his shit.
Yeah, and I like that. I'm like, yeah, call him out, because obviously this all is coming off really bad for Peyton. Dusty is like, yes, please.
Yeah.
And she's like, no. Finally, he kind of starts breaking down some walls.
Yeah.
And, because he just kind of like, River just died. My girlfriend just broke up with me. I am vulnerable right now. And then just kind of fully starts losing it, like really starts crying.
Yeah. So he breaks down and shows them a little of emotion, which I think he knows is what Infinity wants. So instantly they start feeling bad for him, and they support, they're comforting him, and then Infinity says she'll be his running mate.
But there's a part of me that thought that he was actually crying. Like, because because he's saying, I can't cry, Mom.
Yeah.
And then like, finally he breaks down and starts actually crying. And then even though the scene ends with him calling his lackeys and being like, I got her, he's still like recovering from his crying. So that's why I thought like, you know, and he
so
admits
you
that
see it as
really,
like him really breaking down, and then him getting past it so that he can confidently tell his team that he, you know, the mission is complete.
Yeah,
I think it's more he knew he had to do that to succeed in the mission. But I think it could be either.
But the thing is that he admitted that he loved River.
Yeah, which is, you know,
like
I'll give you a little bit, but I think the crying was fake. I don't maybe what he said wasn't, but I think the theatrics of it all was a little extra. But yeah, he leaves and he tells the team, he's like, I got her. So it's like, well, was that real? Who knows? But you could be right. And, you know, I could see it either way. And then we cut to Peyton's announcement of his vice president, where he announces that Infinity Jackson is taking the spot.
Being a running mate, yeah. And it was met with universal praise.
So many people hanging out on the quad.
Just watching Grey Gardens up there speak their life.
So then we see James calling Peyton over while Infinity is giving her acceptance speech. And James says that Infinity already has an 80% approval rating and an IG fan account.
I know.
Which is like that. I feel like that's what they're, you know, that's what the satire is. It's in the millennial culture. It's in social media. It's in the expression of people's feelings and our generation's feelings.
They are
and the political system at the same time, and it's just not coming through.
They're delivering it like they just ran 5 miles, and they just got to set, and they still have their snack of peanut butter on top of their mouth. And then they have to deliver these lines.
Yeah.
Like that's how like exhausting they sound.
Yeah.
It's like not funny at all. It's funny when I wrote it down in my notes.
And then the last thing we end on is our friend Andrew, who was the differently abled character that Peyton originally asked to be his VP.
Yes.
He comes up and they have a conversation.
Hey, Andrew. Eric. Right, Eric, sorry. You douchebag. My name is Andrew.
I'm here. I'm alive. I'm with all of you beautiful people.
Actually, you know, I was just coming to find you. I'm really sorry. I want you to know that this was a really...
She's scamming everyone. You know that, right?
And every single one.
What? Who?
Infinity.
Thank you.
It's all a big scam. She's not sick.
Thank you, Peyton. Thank you, Saint Sebastian.
She's faking it.
So, is Infinity faking it? Is Nana faking it? Is Peyton going to be fucked now if this scandal gets out? What is going to happen? That's how the pilot ends.
What is going on? I can see Infinity kind of knowing that something is wrong here, and she is. And then so then she is excited to run.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I'm sure if you are in that situation as a young girl, you know, like having something not having to do with cancer related media, I'm sure is good. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Because and I'm saying that because like her whole thing is like, I get this because I'm sick.
Yeah.
You know, and this has like nothing to do with her as far as, because then there's like work involved with that, you know.
Yeah, but I mean, Peyton is using her for that at the same time.
Peyton's using her, but as far as like what her participation is, is not centered around her sickness. It is centered around like, you know, quote unquote changing things.
Yeah. So the age-old question: peak or valley, Ryan Murphy?
Oh, it's a valley.
It's a valley for you?
Oh yeah. Yes, this was a slog. Yeah,
I'll agree. A valley. I think they missed the mark on a lot of it. I think it was way too long.
I think this. If I how do I say this? This entry into Netflix, Ryan Murphy, is interesting to me because this could be like more Ryan unedited. You know, and Netflix kind of consistently throws money and creative power at their creators. Yeah. And if this is like Ryan's first foray into this, into that sort of world, and then he comes up with this, and I'm like, what the fuck? Did nobody say like, hey Ryan, you know, like
have you seen Nip Tuck?
Here, I know. Have you ever seen The New Normal? So I don't know. Yeah, definitely. I'm just very curious. I'm glad I saw Hollywood first before this, or else I would discredit this era a little bit more.
Yeah. I mean, I will say, Ratchet and Halston are the next 2 Netflix series that haven't come out yet. I think Ratchet's coming out this summer, so I'm excited to start that. Maybe even on the next round by the time we're ready to record. I think it comes out in September.
I could see that.
But they have a lot to live up to because these first 2 are not great. So I hope those 2 are where the heat comes,
Yeah, because we're doing Hollywood next week.
Yeah, next week is Hollywood. More David Corn sweat.
Just sweating away. I liked the first few episodes of Hollywood. I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah, but it fell off.
Making a movie, and then it really, really fell off. And then it changed some things that probably were not correct.
Yeah. I think The Politician does get better. How much better, I don't know. But I'm interested to see how your opinion changes as we go.
Me too.
What do you think the most problematic moment of the episode was? I feel like they try really hard to not be problematic in this episode, in this show.
They try, yeah. Maybe I think if anything, it would probably be the uncomfortableness of Jessica at the restaurant.
Sure. We should also mention we're changing the problematic moment to...
Oh my god. Yes. This
is a big announcement, bitch. We're changing just saying the problematic moment to... should we say it at the same time?
No.
Let's say it at the same time.
Okay, let's hope we get it right.
Okay. 3, 2, 1. Not in 2020, hunty.
Not in 2020. Not in 2020, bitch. Oh, I see. It sounds better.
Yeah.
When you say it out loud. So
sure.
Not in 2020, hunty.
Yeah, but we're still going to use the same Mercedes Hell to the No clip. But yeah, so there's probably a couple in this episode, and we can boil it down to that. So, what is it again? Not in 2020, hunty.
Because it's so true. We've been saying it all along, too. But in 2020, it really wouldn't.
Yeah.
The year of our Lord and Savior.
Angelica Ross. So that's The Politician. That's our jump into the Netflix era of Ryan Murphy. We have only 7 episodes left, thank God.
All right.
But then we have season 2. Join us next week for our second jump into the Netflix waters with Hollywood, Ryan's second Netflix show. Our boy David Cornsweet is back. Darren Criss, Jim Parsons, Jake Pickens, sexy ass. Oof. So much to talk about.
You can follow us at the Ryan Murphy Project on Instagram. You can follow me at Mr. Andrew Leon. And you can follow Eric at I Hate Eric Wilson. And we will see you all next week.
Bye.